Let me be honest with you right from the start. There are tennis matches, and then there are moments that make you stop whatever you are doing and just watch. What is about to happen on the grass at the All England Club is the second kind. Alex versus Iga Świątek. Third round of Wimbledon 2026. The defending champion against the 21-year-old from Quezon City, who has spent the last 3 weeks turning the grass court season into her personal highlight reel. If you have been following this story even loosely, you already feel the weight of it. If you are just catching up, buckle in, because the context here is as good as the match itself. Before we even get to the tactical breakdown, before we talk about serve patterns and return positions and who controls the baseline, you need to understand what Alex is carrying into this match and where she was just 48 hours ago. Because her second-round win over Maya Joint was not just a tennis result. It was a statement about who she is as a competitor, delivered on the biggest stage she has ever stood on. Joint was not a soft draw. She had just beaten Serena Williams in the first round, a returning legend who the entire tennis world had been watching with a mixture of nostalgia and genuine curiosity. Joint came through that match with momentum and confidence and the kind of energy that a big scalp gives you. She stepped onto court 3 against Alex fully believing she could go deep in this tournament. She won the first set 6-3. She broke in the opening game, dictated the pace early, and for a moment the match had a direction that did not look great for the Filipina. You could almost hear the narrative forming in real time. Too much pressure. Too big a stage. The fairy tale ending here. But that is not what happened. What happened instead is that Alex reset. She did not panic. She did not force anything or try to do too much too quickly. She just tightened up her decision-making, reduced her errors, started dictating the geometry of the court rather than responding to Joint's geometry, and by the second set she was a completely different player. She took the second set 6-2 with a net game that disrupted Joint's rhythm entirely, throwing in serve and volley combinations that Joint simply had no answer for. And then the third set happened. A 6-0 bagel. In a Wimbledon second-round match. Against a player who had just eliminated Serena Williams. That scoreline is extraordinary, and it is not just extraordinary because of the number. It is extraordinary because of the psychological dimension behind it. Last year in Eastbourne, on these same British grass courts, Joint beat Alex in a final that went to 10-12 in a deciding set tiebreak. Alex has spoken about how much that loss affected her, how she could not bring herself to watch the highlights for months afterward. To come back a year later, on a bigger stage, and hand that same player a bagel in the deciding set is not luck or coincidence. That is a player who took a painful memory and turned it into something useful. There was another detail from that match that is worth mentioning because it says something about who Alex is beyond the tennis. She walked onto court wearing a custom Nike visor with a phrase written in Tagalog. Kapag hindi nainto. Loosely translated, it means once it grows, it cannot be stopped. She explained to the press that she carries parts of her culture onto the court intentionally, that every dream begins as a seed and this phrase represents her journey, her country, the whole arc of what she is trying to build. It is not a marketing slogan. It is a genuine expression of how she thinks about herself and what she is doing out here, and that kind of internal clarity is something that cannot be coached. You either have it or you do not, and right now Alex has it in abundance. She brings all of that into this match. The Birmingham title. The 3 top 10 wins in Berlin. 2 convincing wins at this Wimbledon, including a comeback from a set down with a bagel to close it out. And now Iga Świątek, the defending champion. The woman who won this title 12 months ago by not dropping a set in the final, winning it 6-0, 6-0 in one of the most dominant Grand Slam final performances anyone had witnessed in years. So let us talk about Świątek, because understanding where she is right now is just as important as understanding where Alex is. This is a player who has redefined what dominance looks like in women's tennis over the past several years. The clay court record alone is the stuff of legend. Multiple Roland Garros titles. Win streaks that stretched so long they stopped feeling real. A way of dismantling opponents that made the rest of the tour sometimes feel like they were competing for second place. And then she answered the doubters about grass by winning Wimbledon in 2025. She shortened her backswing. She adjusted her footwork. She learned to stay low and drive the ball flat through the surface rather than over it. She proved she was not just a clay court specialist. She was a complete player. But 2026 has told a different story, and it is important to look at it honestly rather than just defaulting to her reputation. 11 losses already this season with 0 titles. 1 win against top 10 opponents against 5 defeats. She lost to Rybakina at the Australian Open. She fell to Svitolina twice, at Indian Wells and in Rome. Andreeva beat her in Stuttgart. She retired against Linette in Madrid, which is always a complicated result to read, but is not the kind of thing that happens to players who are in a good place physically and mentally. And then Roland Garros. Clay. Her home. The place where she has been essentially a different tier of player from everyone else. Kostuk beat her 7-5, 6-1 in the 4th round. That is not a close loss on a surface where she has historically had no weakness. That is a genuine upset by any reasonable measure. Her grass preparation in Bad Homburg did not go well either. Emma Navarro beat her in 3 sets, which meant she arrived at Wimbledon without the sharpness that a clean warm-up run provides. Her first-round match here told a complicated story. She beat Taylor Townsend 6-1, 2-6, 6-3, which means she dominated the opening set and then completely lost the thread in the second before having to fight her way back in the third. She cried during her post-match press conference. She talked openly about the season being difficult, about things not unfolding the way she had expected. For a player of her stature to show that level of vulnerability in public is significant. It tells you the pressure is reaching her in ways that are real and not just surface level. Her second-round win looked cleaner, 6-1, 6-3, but the opponent's level explained a large portion of that scoreline. The question heading into this match is not whether Swiatek is dangerous. She is always dangerous. The question is which version of her shows up when the difficulty of the match increases beyond what she has faced in the first 2 rounds. And Alex is a significant step up from either of those opponents. Now here is the thing that makes this matchup genuinely different from any other third-round match at this Wimbledon. Alex has already beaten her. Not in a practice session. Not in some exhibition. In a proper tour-level match in Miami, 15 months ago, ranked 140th in the world, Alex beat Iga Świątek 6-2, 7-5. She did not steal it in a moment of chaos. She controlled large portions of that match by standing inside the baseline, taking Swiatek's second serve early, cutting off the angle, and refusing to let the Polish player settle into her preferred rally length. It was a tactically precise performance from a player who the tennis world had essentially dismissed as a nice story. And then a month later in Madrid on clay, Swiatek returned the favor with a clinical win that showed she had paid attention to what happened in Miami and found the right adjustments on a surface that heavily favored her game. So the head-to-head sits at 1 apiece. Hard court to Alex. Clay to Swiatek. And now grass, which neither of them has played on against each other before. That distinction is the heart of this tactical picture, because grass does not distribute its advantages evenly between these 2 players. Swiatek's primary weapon has always been the topspin forehand. The shot that kicks high and heavy and pushes opponents backward until they are scrambling from well behind the baseline. On clay, that kick is enormous. On grass, it is reduced. The ball stays lower through the bounce. The surface does not cooperate with heavy topspin the way clay does, and Swiatek has to adapt by flattening her ball out more than she would naturally choose to. That requires her serve to be working well, because a flat game relies on free points on serve to balance out the rallies she cannot control from the baseline the way she does on other surfaces. Her serve this season has been inconsistent. Her first serve percentage has hovered around 63%, and across the matches where she has faced a genuine test in 2026, there is a recurring pattern. She has been the player who breaks down when the match gets tight and extended. 6 of her 11 losses have come when she needed to close a decisive set or hold a lead in the final stages. That is not a random statistical blip. That is a pattern, and it is a pattern that becomes relevant the moment Alex forces this match to a third set. Alex's game on this surface does almost the opposite of what Swiatek's does. She hits flat and through the court rather than over it. She takes the ball early, which on grass, where the ball arrives faster and lower than on clay or hard court, requires exceptional timing that she has clearly been developing rapidly. Her left-handed serve is a genuine problem for right-handed opponents because the natural slice bends into the body and stays low through the bounce, taking time away from the returner and making it difficult to set up an attacking position. Swiatek's return game is the best in women's tennis on most surfaces, but on grass, with the ball arriving faster and the delivery curving away from her preferred contact zone, she will have less opportunity to do what she normally does. Alex has also been going forward more this grass season than at any other point in her career. The serve and volley combinations against Joint were not accidental. They were tactical choices that she committed to because she understood they would disrupt her opponent's comfort. Against Swiatek, who is at her most dangerous when her opponent stays at the baseline and gets into extended exchanges, that net presence is potentially a major disruptive factor. Take away the baseline rally and you take away the situation Swiatek thrives in. That said, let us be completely honest here, because handing this match to Alex on paper would be as wrong as dismissing her entirely. Swiatek has won 6 Grand Slam titles. She has been in the biggest moments this sport offers and found ways to come through them. Even in a difficult 2026, she has shown she can raise her level when she needs to. Before Kostuk beat her at Roland Garros, she had beaten Osaka and Pavlyuchenkova to get there. Before Svitolina beat her in Rome, she had put together 4 convincing wins in the earlier rounds. The inconsistency that has defined her season cuts both ways. She can fall away at unexpected moments. She can also suddenly locate her best tennis in the middle of a match that looked like it was going against her. Alex, on the other hand, has never been this deep at a Grand Slam before. This third-round match is new territory for her. There is no playbook for how a 21-year-old handles the specific psychological weight of facing the defending champion at the All England Club on a show court, with a stadium full of Filipino fans making a sound these courts have never heard before, while the whole world watches because the story is genuinely impossible to look away from. Pressure is not theoretical at this level. It is physical. It shows up in the hands. It changes the toss. It affects decision-making on balls that arrive in half a second. Swiatek has navigated that kind of pressure and won through it repeatedly. Alex is navigating it for the first time, and she is doing it against one of the best players the sport has produced. Now think about the crowd dimension for a moment, because it is a real factor and not just a color detail. The Filipino diaspora in the United Kingdom has been transforming Alex's matches throughout this tournament into something that the All England Club is simply not accustomed to hosting. Wimbledon has a culture. It is quiet, measured, respectful. Polite applause between points. The occasional gasp. That is the tradition. What has been happening during Alex's matches is something categorically different. The flags, the chanting, the collective noise that builds through a rally and peaks at the winning shot, it creates a pressure cooker atmosphere that disrupts the concentration of the opponent in ways that are subtle but cumulative over a match. If Alex breaks serve early and gets the crowd fully engaged in the first set, the psychological environment for Swiatek becomes meaningfully more difficult. That is not a small thing. Champions have been rattled by crowd energy before, and Swiatek has shown this year that her mental equilibrium is not quite where it was when she was at her absolute peak. There are specific moments within this match that will tell you very quickly which direction it is heading. The first is where Alex stands to receive serve. In Miami, she stepped inside the baseline to return Swiatek's second delivery, cutting off the angle and compressing Swiatek's time to recover. If she does the same on grass, where the ball arrives faster and the margin for error on that return position is even smaller, it signals that her timing and confidence are at the level she needs them to be. If she backs up instead, it is a sign that the occasion is pulling her toward caution, and caution against this particular opponent is close to a losing strategy. The second indicator is where Swiatek's forehand is landing in the opening games. When she is playing well on this surface, that forehand lands deep, within a couple of feet of the baseline, and pins the opponent back. When something is off, it lands shorter, and against a player like Alex who is at her most dangerous taking the ball early, a mid-court landing zone for Swiatek's forehand is essentially an invitation to attack. The difference of 3 or 4 feet in landing depth is not a minor detail in this matchup. It is potentially the difference between Swiatek dictating and Alex taking over. The third thing to watch is double faults and second serve performance under pressure in the second and third sets if this goes the distance. Swiatek has been vulnerable on serve in tight moments throughout 2026. Alex will be hunting second serves aggressively from early in the match, and if she can create pressure on Swiatek's service games and force even a small number of double faults at critical junctures, the scoreboard math shifts in ways that compound over time. What all of this analysis ultimately points to is a match that is genuinely open in a way that the rankings and the seedings do not fully capture. Alex can win this. That is not an optimistic statement built on national pride or narrative convenience. It is grounded in specific observable evidence. She has beaten Swiatek in a competitive match before. She is in the form of her career at the precise moment. Swiatek is having the most inconsistent season of her professional life. The surface amplifies Alex's strength.